Okay, let's say this is part 3. Part 3 is our reading sheet. So how shall we read that book? That was the synopsis, right? How shall we read that book? I call that the reading sheet. Okay. Number 1, the first part, a sub part. In the newly appointed revolutionary government, Salim's parent, I'm trying to put things back into the chronological order because the book is a chronological, correct? We start with questions in media res, as we say. Those questions are in the middle of the book. But to make the reading simple or the understanding the book simple or simpler, I I restructured the chronology. Okay, so step 1, in the newly appointed revolutionary government, Salim's parents have a very ordinary life. Okay, Masood, the father, works for the Water Authority Company, and Saida, the mother, the narrator's mother, works for a Norwegian company. Masood himself is the son of a well-read father. A well-read father going by the name of Malim Yahya. Saida's brother, Amir, despite the recommendation of his brother-in-law to find work and rent a house, that is to say, Masood has been pestering Amir to find work and leave the house. But Samir preferred to stay glued into his sister's house, even though the sister is married. Okay. So Amir continues to stick around the house, encouraged by his sister Saida. Every time Masood tries to tell off Amir, Saida intervenes and says that her husband does not love her brother, which creates tensions in the family. Masood hates to antagonize the will of his wife, who refuses to separate or to part with her cumbersome brother Amir. In the middle of all this tension, Salim is standing and narrates the story. So that's part 1. We know where we are. That's where we start chronologically. But then, as in every story, you always have an incident, something that starts trouble, something that lights up in the middle there, and which creates difficulties. Because so far it's been kind of the shall we call that the hum of ordinary life, Number 2, what happens? Uncle Amir finally finds work. We've been looking forward for that. He finds work in a hotel, the Coral Reef, but refuses to go away. Continues to squat at her sister's. One night he is arrested and taken away by government men. So that is one incident. Why is he arrested? Because he has been dating Asha. Asha is the daughter of a member of the elite in charge of the country. Okay, well, we said it before. Actually, Asha is the daughter of the vice president. So we are really walking here in very dangerous territories. Okay? These are territories where angels will be in total fear to tread. So the vice president hears about the story, that dating story, probably furious to see a good for nothing, because Amir is a good for nothing compared to the elite. Is furious to see a good for nothing laying down his own daughter, right? So they just make up a story that Asha is underage and she's been raped. And of course, that is the story. And it becomes very, very serious. I mean, it's not an ordinary dating process. It's about raping an underage girl belonging to the elite on top of that. So this is the incident that will determine the complete narrative structure, the complete narrative scaffolding of Grave Old Heart by Gurnah. That's two. And then the consequences of that incident are galore, plentiful. Three, the fallouts or the consequences of this alleged rape are multifarious. 1. Saida and her husband go to plead for the release of Amir, to no avail. Incapable of obtaining a satisfactory answer from the authority, Saida makes the decision to accept the sexual arrangement proposed by Hakim. Hakim, as we speak, is the protocol officer of the vice president, right? You see how the fathers try to place their own son, their own family within the structure of politics and power. So, consequences. The protocol officer will coerce Saida into having a love relation with him. That's one consequence. The shame and the humiliation for Saida is complete. She begs her husband not to leave the house. But for the husband, enough is enough. He has warned Masood, his wife, not to, shall we say, not to accept the offer. Okay. Not to yield to the demand of the protocol officer. Despite the strong love attachment Masood has for his wife, he walks out of the door and becomes homeless. Confusion starts at home with the eternal questions from Salim, who wants to know about the whereabouts of his disappeared father. He is 7 years old. Salim, when he finally reunites with his estranged, muted, and shamed father, tries to learn something from his father. The mother doesn't want to tell him, so he hopes that the father will tell him something. But the father remains also muted on that same story. Salim is all the more frustrated that a mother gives birth to a baby girl while the father is away. Saida gives birth to a baby girl. The baby's father is Hakim, and the baby's name is Munira, M-U-N-I-R-A. Munira, I don't know how to pronounce that. With all her might, with all her capacity, Saida tries to make her son understand, but the son refuses. The son is Salim. Salim refuses and blames the shameless attitude of her mother and tries to sabotage the love affair between her mother and Hakim, the protocol officer. What about Uncle Amir? Uncle Amir is now a high-flying diplomat, helped by Hakim and helped by the vice president. Hakim ends up marrying Asha, the very same girl who caused his imprisonment. Uncle Amir marries Salim and becomes a very close acquaintance to the powers to be in the country. So he is sent to the UK as the ambassador of Zanzibar to the UK. He decides to bring along Salim to pay back the debt to his sister. So Saida is back home, probably haunted by his original mistake. I would have said in French, le péché originel, the original mistake she made by accepting to be Hakim's lover. Haunted by that mistake, Saida dies. She dies of a brain stroke. A brain stroke can happen to anybody. So why should I link it to the rest of the story? I don't know, but it's a speculation. You do not die without a reason, right? Okay, maybe narrative-wise, that was what was supposed to happen. I don't know. We will ask Gurnah about that. Masood, the father, who has immigrated to Kuala Lumpur with the help of his own exiled father, Malim Yahya, comes back home after Saida's death. The unvowed, the undeclared, the untold intention was probably to reunite with the love of Saida. The intention was maybe, narratively speaking, was probably to be close to his lost love Saida. Can we read that return as a sign of forgiveness and a sign of reunification in death with the woman he's ever loved in his life? She was his only love. You know what I mean? So that's the return of the father. But then, of course, another consequence. He knows now that her mother has passed away. I mean, his wife has passed away. It is like kind of unlocking a treasure, unlocking his heart, unlocking the truth. So it is after the death of his wife that the father, Masood, decides to break the entire truth of the story to his son, Salim. Tells him everything from A to Z. So Salim knows that the answer to the very riddle he came up with in the first pages of the book. The truth is revealed. The stones have been all turned. So everything is neat and clear. That is the story, put back in its chronology, we might say. Okay. Now, after the consequences, as usual, the question is always that question: what can we do now with that story? What to do with that story? The reading behind, or the reading beyond, better, the reading beyond. We have a number of questions we can ask, right? A number of questions we may ask. I just wrote some of them here. Maybe I can put them to you. Can I just find that thing here? Yes. So what can we see after we have read the book? Well, sorry about that. Before I give you the ideas about what to do with the book, normally we say when you start a book, chronologically speaking, you have got a story, you have got an incident, you have got consequences, but at the end of the day, you have to have, well, you have to have, most of the time you have what we might call some sort of equilibrium. You come back to the balance, some sort of balance, the balance you had at the beginning, you see. Okay, do we have some sort of balance which is retrieved at the end of story? Okay, my suggestion, one would say that Baba Masood has forgotten his wife. That is why he has returned back home after her passing away. One possibility. Both wife and husband die on the same land that bore their love story. They both die in Zanzibar. The father has emigrated somewhere. He could have died there. No, he decided to come back, be buried in the same soil, in the same ground as his wife. Why? We do not know. A possibility. 3, the father, Masood, he is free from the secret that has been haunting, burdening his life, because he has delivered that secret to his only son, Salim. So he dies almost immediately and peacefully, after sharing that secret with his son. He is released and relieved from the burden of that family secret. Okay? So we have some sort of balance here. So we go back there smoothly. We started smoothly, we finish off smoothly at the end of the day after the turbulences we have had in the middle there. So we come back peacefully. So dying here becomes a quite peaceful process. Okay. The reading behind. Yes, I had ideas about the reading behind. Beyond. First, we can try this one. Fictionalizing history. Making history a fiction. Fictionalizing history. That sounds obvious in the book by Gurnah. Fictionalizing history. Hyphen. A reading of Abdulrazak Gurnah. First possibility. Because the book traces up the iniquities of the Omani Sultanate power on Zanzibar. The shadow of the bloody socialist revolution of Zanzibar is in the book, between the line, with the expropriation and murders of the Arabs, the Indians, and those who served their iniquitous sultanate. Amir is one of the servant. Okay, he's supposed to be the servant. The father of Masood, we called him Yahya something. is part of that. Those people who have been executed there too. Okay. Second possibility of reading beyond the challenging confrontation between honor and dishonor. Honor and dishonor. This is what the book is all about. Honor and dishonor, right? Okay. Which comes also to the same family loyalty in Greyville Heart by Gurnah. Family loyalty. Should you be loyal to your husband? Should you be loyal to your brotherly love? Who will you save? Your husband or your brother in case of when you have a difficult crisis to solve between the saving your marriage and saving your family relations. So family loyalty here is something you may discuss. Wife, mother, or sister, the tragic conundrum of Greyville Heart. This is in the center of that story is Saida, Masood's wife. Am I your wife? Am I your mother? Am I your sister? Where shall I go? Where shall I turn my head? Right? Where to go? It is a tragic conundrum. At the end of the day, she's never solved the conundrum. She dies. And dying becomes kind of a magical escape from the conundrum. That's the book I wanted to present to you. Again, this is it. Greyville Heart by Abdulrazak Gurnah, Nobel Prize winner in December 7, 2021. A very, very, very good read. I do recommend you to grab the book and go for it. Many thanks.